This is not a well-organized video. It's a stream of consciousness. These are my early thoughts about Disco Elysium's long-awaited successor, Zero Parades. In fact, I'm only about 2/3 of the way through the game. Huge thanks to the team for slipping a review key under my door. Actually, long-awaited sequel isn't the right word, more like long fretted over. Zaum, the studio nominally behind both games, has been through so much drama, I'm not really sure anymore who hurt who. Watching it from afar was tragic. The most poetic possible demonstration of capitalism devouring all criticisms against it. But I'm here to tell you that Zaum has busted out of capitalism's stomach like Alien and is ready to go 10 more rounds. If Disco Elysium made me a leftist, then Zero Parades is plotting our success and asking, how do we champion leftist ideas when the powers that be are so nakedly hostile to them? Zero Parades looks very much like a sequel to Disco. ZP takes place in a different but similar feeling post-dystopian world, also embroidered with magical realist tendencies. Our setting is once again the site of a failed communist government, Portofino. Instead of the hapless, drug-addled Harry Dubois, our protagonist is a spy. And making our main character a spy instead of a cop has shifted the focus of the game from domestic policies and laws a cop might enforce to the geopolitical complexities that spies find themselves entangled in. Cascade works for the Superbloc, one of the 3 citadels of power in this world, and the last stronghold of communism. While the Superbloc has been poring over spreadsheets, the other 2 superpowers, Lalus and Emter, have taken over. There's a sense that both dismiss the Superbloc, considering it a non-factor on the geopolitical stage. Trying to lay the geopolitics of Zero Parades over our world to find one-to-one correlations is, in my opinion, a fool's errand. Lalus's hyper-consumerist tech fascism screams USA, with a single pop star that makes up 6.2% of its GDP. But Lalus doesn't have the same reliance on outsourcing manufacturing that so shapes US politics. Emter, on the other hand, is a global bank and calls itself the Empire Without Territory. And it's hard to place that on one organization here, since we have a whole bunch of global banks running around, none operating on quite the same scale, as there's not really a central authority in the same way. Unless you're a conspiracy theorist. To me, portraying a world as divided up between 3 superpowers seems less about our world's geography and more about our dominant ideologies. Techno-fascism, hyper-capitalism, and maybe on a good day, communism is still on the board. A little bit. The philosophical underpinnings of the game are wide-reaching, but there's a lot of Francis Fukuyama's End of History, there's a lot of Zizek's philosophical calculus, figuring out how Marxism works in a world that seems to have proven it as an imperfect ideology. But more than either of those boys, Zero Parades is most concerned with the role that art will play in the new world order that's struggling to be born. These 3 superpowers are waging a war for Portofino's soul, and the most powerful weapons in that war have proven to be art. Zero Parades takes a very expansive view of art, and depicts each medium as a desperate need to communicate. Poetry communicates trauma. Ads communicate desire. Fan works communicate devotion. And fashion communicates tradition. And in this world, art is frequently weaponized as propaganda to, quite literally, rewire the brain in ways that benefit the powers that be. Disco's thought cabinet is replaced with thought conditioning, where a few things are made painfully apparent. 1, no idea is original. They're all given to me by external forces to give me tendencies towards certain behaviors. 2, I have agency in that I get to choose what ideas I want to actually keep in my brain versus reject, and I can change my mind relatively easily. 3, because the ideas in my brain affect skill check bonuses, I do have a tendency to swap my beliefs in and out based on what suits me most in the moment. And 4, I noticed that I found myself with at least one favorite thought that I refused to put away no matter the circumstance because I liked it so much. Like a piece of armor in an MMO game that has sentimental value. For me, it was spiritual autosurgery.
Bolt of pain rips through your psyche. Soon, everyone will know what your innards look like.
In attributing art this much power, Zero Parades doesn't merely say, art will power the revolution. It instead poses art as a force that can be leveraged to hurt the cause just as much as it will help it. It seeks to characterize the nuances in order to be a more effective weapon for the revolution that so many of us desperately crave. Through this lens, it's hard not to see Zero Parades as a battle scar that Zaum is proudly showing to us. The survivor of a war for its own soul, a communist beset on all sides by financial institutions and culture carrion birds. I found myself relating to one very mockable character who's obsessed with fashion, culture, social currency, and something ineffable he refers to as the scene.
Have bowled too hard. The streets of Portofino have not been ready for such a display of style.
When we ask him about trends that are passé or upcoming, it's revealed that this is just how he sees politics, as a series of cultural trends that neatly communicate geopolitical trends. And I thought, this guy's a video essayist, isn't he?
I felt an undying need to improve my game for any potential scene crossovers.
Cringe. There's no other word for it. This makes me cringe. It's embarrassing.
A narrow escape from the clutches of debt leads him to the conclusion that he's always been a communist, and he's just now realizing it. We later find him stuck in a boiler inside the ruins of a failed communist government's building, unable to see and unable to escape because that coat he went into debt for is stuck on something. He does not consider removing the coat.
You may not think it, but in this tight space, I truly feel like a part of the scene. Like I never did outside on the streets.
That is a fair criticism, Zero Parades. I hear what you're saying, and I'll work on that. Before I finish up here, I want to return ZP's pretty spot-on call-out of me with a criticism of my own. You might notice that, unlike Disco, we play a woman. It's ladies' night at Zaum. That means she gets hit on sometimes. I don't really see how her experience as a woman affects how she moves in the world beyond that. My version of Cascade was a queer woman, so sometimes she slips into lesbian fantasy, and there's a notable scene where you're forced to clean the room of the ultimate basement-dwelling incel, but these side quests make for an incomplete picture in my view. Back in the Superblock, was she forced to hide her romantic entanglements? Was she expected to make the coffee every morning in the office? While her identity is acknowledged, I see its consequences to the story to be underexplored. This weakness feels like a mistake that leftists are pretty vulnerable to, honestly. With all our ideals of a more egalitarian society through economic redistribution, it's easy to sweep under the rug the fact that sexism, homophobia, and all those ugly bedfellows are in league against a truly fair society. And their tendrils run much deeper than we see on the surface. Leftist circles are far from immune. Recent revelations around Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta come to mind. This is troubling to me, trying to maintain an identity as both a woman and a leftist. And also, in my view, counter to the cause. Who benefits more from an egalitarian society than those who feel the boot of fascism most firmly on their windpipes? These are our strongest potential allies. Embrace them, comrade! All that said, I'm only 2/3 of the way through the game, so I reserve the right to change my mind about all that, and actually, I'll be sure to give you an update. In the style of Babe Ruth, please consider this video my version of pointing in the far distance as I step up to the plate, promising a home run. Let's all return here in 1 year when I release a video with a comprehensive synthesis of the game. That means you have 1 year to play the game before I go absolutely ham exploring the game's themes in detail and putting it more concretely in the context of its philosophical and artistic and psychological influences, all culminating in a synthesis that acts as a rich launchboard for you to come to your own conclusions about the work. Until then, I guess I'll be stuck in this boiler.
Once, there were many ballers on the scene, but now, there is only me. I fear extinction, like the ancient megalo-ballers who once ruled the land.
Actually, that's not totally true about the boiler thing. In the next, I'm gonna say 3-ish weeks, I'm gonna release a video about the games that taught me how to hope I'm really excited about it. I think it's really good. My intention is to put together like a helpful guide for how to hold on to the slippery but hopeful feeling that games leave us with while the credits roll. Speaking of credits, here are my patrons! Hi guys! Normally I'd be singing a birthday song to one of these excellent people right now, but this video got scraped together so fast I'm not really sure if it's canon enough to warrant it. So in lieu of that, say happy birthday to yourself in the comments and you're all implicated.
I'm implicated!